What's up, you guys? Hope everyone's having a great morning. Hope everyone enjoys this nice mic quality. Today I'll be walking you through my final portfolio and reflecting on the progress I have made while taking WR 151 Albums Now. Logically, we should start by taking a look at my self-assessment from the beginning of the semester. I can say with confidence that my writing ability has continuously improved through taking WR 120 first semester and WR 151 this semester. Before delving into the self-assessment, I wanted to highlight some areas of improvement I had noted at the conclusion of WR 120. Strides I had taken with my writing last semester included the inclusion of more descriptive language, use of better grammar, and reducing the number of technical errors I had been making. Consistent with my work this semester, I was often able to identify these areas that were lacking in some way and make the appropriate corrections between the draft and final versions of assignments. Some weaknesses that I highlighted in my self-assessment included my ability to stay on topic and my limitation of vocabulary. I feel as though this course has both allowed me to expand my vocabulary and ability to thoroughly describe a piece of music, literature, or otherwise. One of the key elements that helped me to better analyze music in my album logs was breaking down a song to evaluate its tone, theme, and style. Before taking this course, these were words that I may have used interchangeably. However, I now know their true definitions and can use them to analyze music more meaningfully. Another component that this course has impressed upon me is the value of a more concise writing style. It was pointed out to me by Professor Behrens as well as in peer review that I often was writing sentences that were repetitious, stating the same thing over and over with different wording. Furthermore, it was brought to my attention that I was making many redundancies, such as horribly bad or incredibly splendid, that may have been helping my word count, but not helping me to be a better and more concise writer. Throughout this course, I have worked to remove these redundancies from my writing, as well as removing unnecessary information unhelpful to building my overarching argument. Through peer revisions and reference to the guide in the Albums Now packet, I have successfully been able to improve my writing in these areas. Let's take a look at some examples. For the draft of my analysis paragraph on Bob Dylan's Meet Me in the Morning, I received praise from Professor Behrens on my humorous title, use of precise claims, and original interpretation. I was advised, as I often am, to work on concision, cutting out sentences that were too general or vague, as well as varying my sentence length and structure a bit more. From the draft to my final version of the analysis, I was able to improve upon almost all of these points, especially being more concise. However, I could have worked a bit more to vary sentence length and structure. For my response to an argument source, I chose to write about what kind of literature is acceptable by feminist standards, as I am in a sexuality and social life course this semester that had sparked my interest in the subject. During peer review with Katie, she pointed out that I really hadn't stated my thesis well until nearly the end of my paragraph rather than the beginning, which was a fairly quick but effective fix. I was also advised to cut out some unnecessary information that was more summary than analysis. Professor Behrens provided me with similar feedback, including cutting out general information, working on concision, and strengthening my claims with more evidence. I was able to take this feedback into account when shaping my final version of the response paragraph for an overall much stronger and more concise argument. Perhaps the most significant and memorable assignment for me to reflect on is my album presentation. Before taking this course, I was really hesitant as I saw it was an oral presentation-based class, and my anxiety sorta goes through the roof when public speaking or presenting. One time during my sophomore year in high school, I literally had a panic attack and ran out of the room in the middle of the presentation and ultimately opted for a 0 on the assignment rather than try and present again. I know that the only way to improve at public speaking is to do it, however, so to help settle my nerves heading into the presentation, I made sure that I was prepared as possible. As Kylie pointed out in her portfolio presentation, the rather elaborate outline we made for ourselves in preparation for the presentation helped enormously for me to be more confident and ultimately give a more interesting and informational presentation. Making an outline such as this one hasn't been something I've done much in the past, but since realizing how much it helped me on the album presentation, I've pretty much been making outlines for every assignment as an effective way for me to organize my thoughts. It was brought to my attention by Professor Behrens and my peers that I abused the words kind of, and you know in my presentation as fillers. Moving from my album presentation to my recent presentation on independent artists, I was able to deliver a more confident presentation and reduce the amount of filler expressions that I was using. Let's look at my final paper draft and annotated bibliography. For my annotated bibliography, it's definitely still a work in progress as I am working to gather many more sources. However, out of the ones that I do have, I've been able to gather very useful information and evidence for my paper. As for my major research paper draft, it still remains as mostly an outline because, as I said before, a thorough outline tends to help me produce my best work. I have decided to slightly shift the focus of my paper. My original argument's focus was why independent artists should not sign to major record labels. My updated argument's focus will be on the discussion of signing versus not signing by artists in their music, as this will allow me to delve into the lyricism of artists and the music itself, rather than just the politics surrounding signing a major record deal. I chose to write my final paper on independent artists as I consider myself one, Therefore, the topic could not be more relevant or intriguing to me. I hope both my excitement for the topic of the paper as well as my improved writing style will be fully visible upon reading it. And that concludes my portfolio presentation. Thank you so much for listening.